We'll have it there, eh? That works. It's cold. Oh.
All right, guys, just like to call the meeting to order, need a mover and seconder. Moved by Donna. Second by Alan. That the meeting be open at 5:07 PM, all in favor? Good. And then just the adoption of the agenda, so we've adopted it to include our communication system, so we're calling that. Number 7. Under items for meeting discussion. So just, I need a mover and a seconder. Second by Donna, that the agenda for the Emergency Services Committee meeting for July 28th, 2025 be approved as adopted. All in favor? Good. Any disclosure of pecuniary interests? None. And then the adoption of the previous minutes, you know, mover and seconder. Sean, COO finally, sorry. And Donna, so moved by Sean and second by Donna, that the minutes of the Emergency Services Committee meeting held June 16th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Any presentations or delegations for tonight? We're down to 6 under staff reports. So 6A, report from the fire chief regarding recent call reports, training and community involvement.
All right, good evening, everybody. This report here is to highlight the activities of the Bonfield Volunteer Fire Department from June 12th, 2025 to July 23rd, 2025. The purpose of this report is to keep the committee and the community informed on the fire services. This is a highlight of my first 5 months as the fire chief. Under operations, we have 16 operational volunteer firefighters. In that time frame, we respond to 8 calls for service. I want to start off saying I am deeply moved and I am extremely proud of our firefighters on the call we went to on June 22nd. That was the Mucko Burst, where they called action. We went down to the park to help numerous departments: Calvin, North Bay, Mattawa, Bonfield, Nipissing was there. There was a bunch of departments, not only from fire, but police services and ambulance services. So I'm extremely proud of the firefighters that went down. Came on as a technical rescue call, so they were there basically rescuing people out of the park. They get them from emergency medical services, so they took the chainsaws and they were cutting trees out of the way, branches, bush, to get to the people that were trapped. And we had 10 volunteers respond to that location for that time being. I was actively involved from the administrative side. I was on the phone with the EOC constantly for at least 12 hours, if not longer, for the committee as we were doing our rescue by play-by-play book. I kept the committee informed of what was going on down there, how long we were going to be down there for. And like I said, I'm extremely proud of the firefighters that responded to that incident. We ran a medical call on June 25th. We had 1 person respond, that was myself. We ran a medical call on July 3rd. Fortunately, we didn't have anybody who was available July 23rd to respond. We did an MVC on July 6th. We had 6 people respond, 6 firefighters respond for that call. We did a medical call come in July 11th. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody available to respond. We had hydro wires down, and that was on July 14th. We had 9 respond, and that came on our training night. So just before we hit training night. So we had a lot of people available that night. We did a medical call on July 16th. We had 3 respond. And then we had a medical call July 21st. And unfortunately, we didn't have anybody available to respond. As of the date of this report, we've done 52 calls for service so far. That is almost equal to what we did all of last year. Last year we did 68 calls. So if we keep going at this pace, we'll be close to 100 by the end of the year. For our regular training, our weekly training, we're always doing EMS and medical call procedures and equipment refresher, so the firefighters know where equipment is located, how it's used, why it's used. Talk about teamwork when it comes to medical calls. They always check their PPE, so the bucket gear, so we always get them to don it first thing when they get in, they check it, don your gear. And they inspect it, any rips, cuts, tears, does it still fit? Right, we wanna make sure that they're actually protected. That goes in conjunction with their SCBA, or their personal protective equipment. They check the SCBA, they check to make sure that the batteries are still operational, that the SCBA bottles are still operational, that they have the right amount of required air in the bottle. And that coincides with their personal bucket gear inspection. And then, as always, usually at the end of the night, they will clean the hall. They'll sweep it, make sure that the washrooms are cleaned, the trucks are cleaned. For our special training during basically from April till September, October-ish, depending on the weather, how hot it is. We are always preparing for wildland fire season, so you guys are up to date on the procedures and what to do with equipment, especially with the gator related to the wildland fire season. They make sure that their skills are up to date. If we do get called in, we know exactly our plan of attack. We know where our fire break's going to be for that area. Right now, we're in high gear for the firefighters preparing for their NFPA certifications. We have till July 1st, 2026 to have all firefighters certified in firefighter 1 and firefighter 2. We're going at a fast pace right now to make sure that all our firefighters meet those standards as set up by the government. For my update, I've completed the information technology policy and I've submitted to the CAO for review. The fire chief and the training officer, we had a tutorial of our FireQ app. That's our responding app. So when we get a call, our app goes off, it gives us a location, time of day, the details of the incident, so we know what type of incident we're responding to. So we had a tutorial with the developer of that app. It was very informational. And so the training officer and myself are now more well versed in the app on how to use it. The fire chief in the CEMC, Alan Reed, we had a meeting with Spectrum in regards to the new radio system that we're looking at. We're going to discuss that. That's agenda item number 7. We'll get more greater detail that when we discuss that with Alan with the new radios. And we also went to the North Bay Ambulance Dispatch Center. Alan and I met with Mark Picard. He's my representative that I liaison with. We had a tour of their dispatch system and see how their radio system works and how they dispatch Bonfield and surrounding departments. And we are most intrigued to make sure that the new radio system is compatible with their dispatch system. So that way there's no interruption, no lag time in us getting notifications. I regularly review the fire ratings for the township. So when I review those ratings, I'm looking at wind speed, wind direction, temperature, humidity, and the condition of the area. So that's why if you see that those ratings have changed, there's a reason why they've changed. Excuse me. And as always, we always have ongoing training for new recruits. So whether you're a new recruit or maybe a prospective new recruit, our doors are always open. Please come by. You can talk to myself or any other firefighters. We'll definitely give you a tour of the hall, the equipment. We'll discuss, what we do. We would love to have more community involvement down at the fire hall. So our doors are always open. If you're driving by and you see the doors open, it means I'm there. So please stop by because I like showcasing our equipment. So as long as it's not too hot, the bay doors will be open and you guys, or too cold, and you guys drive by, please stop by because I will be there. For our fire prevention, it's always ongoing during any incident call, which means whenever we get a call for an emergency, at the conclusion of that call, especially if it's a medical call or alarm activation where we're in the private residence home, this is when we take opportunity to discuss them about the smoke alarms, CO alarms. Do you have an escape plan? Do you practice that plan? Do you have any questions for us? Do you have 2 routes or 2 avenues of escape within the home? We talk about the lifespan of the CO detector, of the smoke detector. We usually get asked what kind of brand, and as long as they all meet the ULC listing, then there doesn't matter which brand you get, because they got to meet the ULC listing for the smoke and CO detectors. As long as you see that ULC on the back of the detector, and it's been approved by the government, that you can get that. But one well-known is the Kitty. Like a lot of people have Kitty, so that's a well-known fire protection equipment that sells a lot of fire protection equipment for the home. For our FPO is always building the calendar. So the events will be like, we just had the July 1st Canada Day celebration. So we had a table set up. We had a community event earlier in May. We had a table set up at the farmers market. So anytime that we can get out in the community, we put that down as a fire prevention, because we'll have a table set up with fire prevention literature. And we encourage the public, please come and talk to us. And we always have a little bag of goodies that, emphasizes what we're talking about. So home escape plan, smoke alarm, seal detectors, having 2 routes of entry or exit at all times, knowing your surroundings, having an assembly area outside or away from the home. Our FPO training is always underway, so that's between Matt and myself. And the fire and seal alarm inspection program is in progress for 2020-2025-6. Well, where Matt and I are working on that right now for that program. And our community involvement over the last 30 days, we did the candidate celebrations in the green space behind the administration office here. Fire prevention table was set up with fire safety literature. The firefighters engaged the public and spoke to the public on various topics about fire safety, i.e. unattended cooking, smoke and seal alarms, home escape plans. And our new deputy chief, Matt Stroud, assisted with the fireworks show in the evening. And that is my report for the committee. Great.
Chief Stroud actually has done a second show as well. He did the fireworks show for Ribfest. So he's close to completing his 3 shows basically, so that he can actually supervise the show. Sure. Moving on to 6B, report from the fire chief regarding the pumper test results.
Okay, on June 23rd, 2025, Pumper 2 out of Rutherglen and Pumper 5 out of Station 1 in Bonnfield here had their annual pump test. The pump test included adheres to the NFPA 1901 standard. A critical aspect of the NFPA 1901, or NFPA, is National Fire Protection Association. That is almost like a governing body for the fire service. The 1901 is the requirements for pump performance. Fire pumps must be capable of delivering water at specific pressures and flow rates, which are essential for effective firefighting. The standard specifies testing procedures to verify that pumps meet these performance criteria, ensuring that they function reliably when needed most. Below is the type of test conducted on Pumper 2 and on Pumper 5 to meet the NFPA 1901 standard. So you have a rated capacity test, which means the pump must deliver its full rated capacity, i.e. 1,000 or 1,500 gallons per minute, depending what tank you have. Like our pump 5 is 1,600 gallons. So it would be tested at 1,600 gallons at a net pump discharge pressure of 150 psi. So at 150 psi, it has to deliver 1,600 gallons. That's what it has to deliver. That's at the rated. You have 70% of that test, which must deliver 70% of its rated capacity. So say easy math, 1,000 gallons, 70%, 700 gallons per minute at 70% discharge pressure at 200 psi. So we've ramped the psi up even higher. Then we go to a 50% capacity test, which pump must deliver 50% of its rated capacity, i.e. if it's 1,000 gallons, must deliver 500 gallons per minute at a discharge pressure of 250 psi. The tank to pump tests. The apparatus must be capable of delivering a minimum of 500 gallons per minute from its onboard water tank to the pump. So our tank, pump 5 is 1,600, so it must deliver that, and it must deliver 500 gallons per minute from that tank. The overload test means this test, often performed immediately following the 2 hour, because it takes 2 hours to perform this test, requires the pump to deliver its rated capacity at 165 psi net pump pressure, typically for 10 minutes. So what it means is that we run that pump at that pressure for 10 minutes straight and see, does the pump deliver that rated capacity? And that's how we found out that after this test was completed, it was determined that Pumper 5 had passed the test. However, Pumper 2 had failed the pump test. One of the factors that contributed to the failure of the pump on Pumper 2 was due to the age and wear and tear of Pumper 2. Pumper 2 is a 1989 Ford F800. The NFPA standard, 1901 standard, recommends retiring the apparatus after 25 years. Apparatus exceeding 25 years are generally recommended for retirement. All NFPA standards are not legally mandated, but they are widely recognized as industry best practices. As the township's fire department has minimal annual calls for structure fires, there are provisions for using a vehicle past its 25-year life. It is clear the aging fire equipment within the department does require a strategy for replacement, and that's something I'm working on right now with the CEO for our asset management. The cost, we can repair it, however, it is costly to repair. The cost of the repair is with HST. I don't want to say this number, but I have to. $11,130. And to me, that's the total cost of bringing pump 2 up to an FPA 1901 standards. It is my professional opinion that we don't allocate the monies for that because of the age of the truck. The truck still can function as a pumper. However, the operator will know that when we are pumping with that truck, it will leak at the pump, which means water will be leaking underneath the truck. So that's something that we will be taking into consideration if we are calling upon that truck to use at any kind of fire. Right now, with our complement, our operational availability of the fleet, we do have 5 apparatuses. We have a 1986 Ford F500 pumper, that's pumper 2. Oh, sorry, 1989. It's a Ford F800 pumper 2, 2008 Freightliner pumper 5, a 2004 Tanker 1, 2007 Ford F550 Rescue 3, and a 1981 Chevy Rescue 2. As of the date of this report, July 24th, 2025, each apparatus is able to respond to any emergency when called upon within the municipal borders and from mutual aid. Pumper 2 is currently a secondary response vehicle with Pumper 5 and Tanker 1 considered the primary response vehicles for the fire calls. Pumper 2 can still operate, however, there will be a water leak coming from the pump when the pump is engaged. Pumper 5 and Tanker 1 can supply the required amount of water for any emergency that the fire department may encounter. So under the recommendations, it is my professional opinion that the township does not incur the expense of repairing the pump on pump 2. That pump 5 and Tanker 1 can deliver the rated amount of water that is required to fight any structure fire within the municipality for our first response as well as mutual aid. Pumper 2 is a secondary, so that's why secondary apparatuses we can hold on for a little bit longer past the 25-year recommended replacement life. So our first response vehicles is Pumper 5 and Tanker 1. So they can protect the municipality at any emergency when called upon if there is a fire that we need to extinguish. My suggestion is that council put any surplus from 2025 vehicle repairs into reserve so that it may be used towards the purchase of a new pumper truck in the future. And that is my report on Pumper 2.
Thanks, Sean. So we're at 7 items for committee discussion. So 7A, discuss the EMCPA 2024 compliance results provided by the CEMC.
Should be a motion for this, I'm sorry, if I can. There should be a motion and the report. For the pumper report, the recommendation is that the motion. No, not the motion, you can write one. But this has to be this, you just need to do a second for that.
And then some.
So Kenneth writing it down, so if we just got, so this is the recommendation.
Yeah.
We can read that, as the room for a second,
Yeah.
and that's what you guys will do for me.
So the recommendation is that the committee receives the report from the fire chief regarding pumper testing and further that Pumper 2 continue to be utilized only as a secondary fire response vehicle, and further that any potential fire department building actual surplus from 2025 be put in reserves for the replacement of Pumper 2. A mover and a second. Donna. All in favor? Carried. All right. Now we're at 7.
Emergency management legislation requires that we follow a structured compliance review annually, and every municipality has to do this. So the 13 areas of that are evaluated in the report, I won't read them all, but you know that we have a hazard and risk identification assessment, that we have an emergency plan, that we have a bylaw, that we have an annual review. So all these things are measured. And we have to submit this to Emergency Management Ontario annually, and we have to provide evidence that we're in compliance. So every year we do this and we happy to announce that we passed in all 13 areas. Although I do want to bring up a couple of things, the bar for compliance is being increasingly higher. As an example, we public education. They want to see what we did for public education. We got to submit the documents and we have to have a plan. And so there's the program is getting more robust, but there's also a requirement to demonstrate that we're meeting the levels and the standards. So just a bit of good news that we met that, and we're in good shape when it comes to that. I just in terms of compliance, our program was tested recently with the storm, and I think we did well, but I think in anything when you test your plans and your procedures and your systems, that's when you realize that there's some weaknesses and things could fail, and it's better to recognize those things before they actually fail, and to be able to address those potential failures in the future. So we have some work to do on our plan, but I just want to say it's all part and parcel of compliance. It's all part and parcel of being ready.
Do we have a formal debrief scheduled?
Not yet, but we will.
So I can facilitate that.
Yeah.
And then we can use the event as our annual exercise
Yes,
as
we can.
well.
Yeah,
So
that's already in the works. That was
Yeah.
my first request that we.
yeah.
We've already gotten that approved.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then with the amendment, we're adding 7B, Bonfield comm system provided by the CES.
I'll just bring your attention to the my demonstrate my lack of graphic ability with a computer, but I think it serves to demonstrate what this system is all about. So starting at the top, we have the EOC computer, Radio Pro Present, the fire department computer, which would be dispatch number 2. We would have 2 EOC base stations, one for fire, one for public works. And each one of these would have a separate antenna here. Well, they would use the same antenna, but they'd be separate feeds coming out here. We do have 2 repeaters in Bonfield now. So that allows us, the walkie-talkies, to talk to each other from longer distances. It also allows the base station, the new base stations that we would have here, to have an extended reach to the walkie-talkies. So it expands our reach. One of the neat things about this is this Radio Pro system gives us the ability to dispatch from either here or at the fire hall, and we would have 2 licenses, and either one of those dispatch computers would have push to talk to speak on the radio. So you could actually talk to the fire department through the base station from here or at the fire hall. So both those things do that. It provides the ability to be able to voice record, dialogue, voice record all communications. With a main benefit of that is, and we were talking about that at CACC, where you can use it as a notepad. It'll give you all your times, it'll give you your events, water applied at such and such a time, people arrived at such and such a time. So it gives you a complete history of your fire call, and if you there's some work required to get a set of voice protocols and communication protocols to make this even more effective. But Sean's all over that, or the chief is all over that. So that in a nutshell is it. Just some notes on it. EOC Radio Pro host and dispatch is computer 1. We will need to buy, in addition to what is in the quote, 2 base workstations. The computers themselves, the computer workstations, were not included in the quote for the communication, the comms. We would need to have a small workstation here for the computer here. I think there's workstations at the fire hall for that, but both locations require a computer monitor and some LAN paraphernalia. One of the things that providing we have budget is to explore a Starlink or equivalent internet service for the fire department. because the internet there pretty iffy. And if we're relying on that as a key link in our system, we don't want that to be reliable as well. So flipping over, there's a whole lot of numbers here, but basically, this is the quote for what that picture, that's, not including, a table, that is comms and tech ready, and the two computers and their monitors and workstations. 25, almost 26,000 for the comms equipment. And almost $7,000 to upgrade our handheld radio systems. And just a note about that, one of the strategies that we've discussed is going to digital. It interfaces better with CACC, it interfaces better with this system. It gives us a better readout on dispatch. So our thoughts, and we're still working on it, is to upgrade the fire department to all digital. And to repurpose the non-digital radios to the public works, where that is not as critical in terms of communications and voice recording. And so we have some flexibility in the budget here to be able to, maybe we want to go with four digital ready radios, or maybe we go with all new digital radios and bolster that fleet. And can repurpose some of the existing fire department radios to public works, but the $7,000 gives us some flexibility to make a quick decision.
How much was our grant?
Our grant was 45,000 and change, $45,010. So I in our budget, I think this is well within the means of the budget to get our computer stations, and so we're pretty confident that we can put this system in for the amount of the grant.
So we'll get quotes by the time we have it fully kitted out. It'll be below the $40,000.
It'll be 45,000. Yeah. So we pending approval to proceed, then we go ahead and get this is a firm quote for tech equipment, and then we would go get further quotes for the auxiliary equipment, I'll call it. We'll know that.
And how many companies did we reach out to?
We reached out to two, Spectrum, there was Bell, and I believe there was one other company, and then we did put it on Merck's, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, so.
We did an RFP,
Yeah,
which we got no response from.
okay,
So then we reached out to other.
okay.
So I would be looking for a resolution.
A motion.
So that's what we're looking for, is a motion to quote the
To accept
No,
the quotes,
to
to
accept the
accept
to
the
accept the
quotes,
quotes.
yeah, so it's go to council now for approval. And but it's well within our grant money,
Yes.
so. Don't see that there would be a issue.
Perfect. So we just need a mover and a seconder to accept the quote provided by the CEMC. Moved by Donna, second by Sean. All in favor? So that's carried. And then we don't need a separate motion to procure quotes for the rest of the equipment.
No, it's all in the one quote. We'll take this report.
Yeah, maybe as part of the resolution, we can say that it is within the amount, the grant amount.
Mhm.
We'll just say that it's.
Yeah, we'll-
grant amount,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll already.
Yeah.
Any resolutions to be considered for council recommendation?
Those-
Other than that?
Yeah.
Any correspondence? No closed session? So I need a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Move by Alan. Second by Sean. I'll let the meeting be adjourned at 5:36 PM. All in favor? Do we want to set up our next meeting?